the voters are voting with emotions, then it doesn't become an election. It becomes a ballot box in which people have put emotions instead of putting their future in the ballot.
Hey, and welcome to Fanya Mambo Africa, another exciting episode. And my goodness, Fanya Mambo.
Yes.
Kenyan politics, it's only it's not even 20th January.
Yes.
And it's like we are already in December or on campaign season.
I think the New Year resolution was to stop politics by increasing the amount of politics that we are doing.
Hey, turbo.
Hey, you guys have engaged a high gear. Everywhere, politics is like, you would think there's an election happening in a week.
And it's not just the politicians, it's even the citizens.
Yes.
So now, what are we expecting?
I think, unfortunately, in this country, very many things are tied to politics. You see, if we had separated a few things from politics, like now, Parliament determines even allocation of resources, for example, for contractors and so on, and for ministries. There is so much concentration of, the biggest spender in this economy is the government.
Yes, of course.
So people have had all their eyes on government, as opposed to countries where, if you have a country that has a big company, like, those countries that have really huge corporations and companies that make computers and make a lot of money, the focus is not always on government.
Yeah.
Because people are like, as long as government just allows these companies to work, there is a lot of wealth being generated by the private sector. In Kenya, the private sector is not generating as much wealth as government. And because everything has got to do with feeding the stomach, then now there has to be people making noise because they believe if we can fix the politics, then you'll fix the economics and you'll fix the social lives of people.
So essentially, that is what we're going to live with the whole year.
If government continues being the way they are, if they were wise, if today I was sitting in government, one of the first things I would do is pay suppliers. Ridiculous as that may sound, pay suppliers. Look for money, pay suppliers.
But they don't have the money?
No.
Or so they say?
Allocate money from whatever other things. Like now they have money meant for travel, they have money meant for things that are not relevant. Allocate money to the payment of some suppliers, especially those suppliers who are owed less than $1 million, $2 million. When there's liquidity in the country, people tend to forget about government and focus on buying shoes and, going to happy. I mean, if you look at club life, even in Nairobi right now, there's very little of it going on. People are at home in the night. Most social joints are not being frequented the way they used to be frequented because people are struggling to even fix a meal. So if this government was, and when you pay suppliers, that money that's available in the economy, people have a way of spending. Pesa iwezi kaa kwa account na watu wengine wakae kwa nyumba.
True.
Some people have to leave and go and spend it.
Money has to be spent.
Yeah. So when they are going out to buy something new, they are paying for taxes.
Yeah.
In every sense, in every way, as long as they've left their houses. And that way the government will be able to mop up more money in taxation. But right now there's nothing left. By increasing taxation to what is nothing left, what do you collect? So people are opting to close shop and all. I think government must make a deliberate effort to look for money and just pay some suppliers.
At some point, I think they'll just have to.
Yeah, that way there will be liquidity. And when there's liquidity, they'll be able to mop up more in terms of the amount of taxes they collect. And when people have money in their pocket, I can tell you, they speak less politics. Yeah, they tell you, I want to focus on in fact, I'm going to buy some new piglets. People are focusing on self-development and people love themselves and they'd love to grow. So I think for 2025, if you want to tone down the political temperatures, I have thought about it. There's nothing else you can do other than find money, pay suppliers, make sure there's liquidity going on in this country.
Okay. And one of the biggest stories that has been discussed this week is CS and former AG Attorney General Justin Bidan Muturi has essentially, from his report, accused the NIS of abducting his own son sometimes last year. And from the report, it says that he called DCI, he called Nuddin Haji, he called Mohammed, he called everyone he could call, and the son was not released. But it took the president calling the head of DCI to release AG's son. What's that about?
Number one, that is the Attorney General's son.
Yes.
What about the son of a peasant Kenyan? What
Essentially,
about
nobody
the son
cares.
of a Kenyan who is a teacher? The son of a Kenyan who is a boda rider? The son of a Kenyan who is a butcherman? And what would happen? Because that son, the father doesn't have the number to the president,
Yes.
doesn't have the number to Nuruddin Haji, the head of DCI. So basically, this is a doomed person, and that's why some people have been missing since June of 2024. But I think what Justin Bidan Muturi did was good. It was actually the best thing. He's a good student of William Samoei Ruto. William Samoei Ruto was in President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta's government. And he kept fighting that government from inside. You know, he went on vehicle tops and even told, President Uhuru, usiue watoto wangu. He said a lot of things, for those who can remember, until he was even called Tanga Tanga. He continued fighting his own boss. Justin Bidan Muturi, please take my advice. Don't resign. Stick in there and disturb them from inside, the same way they disturbed President Uhuru Kenyatta. After all, they taught you. I mean, you just learned from your boss. If they ask you, tell your boss, I'm just doing what you did to Uhuru Kenyatta. And if it was considered right then, it should be right even now. So he should stick in there and fight the government from inside, because we want people fighting this government from outside and some also fighting it from inside.
My question is, besides fighting the government, he's serving as a CS.
Yes.
When he was abducted, when the son was abducted, he was an AG.
Yes.
Why has he taken about 6 months to react?
In life, we also have slow people. Why did it take
Wait, what are you saying?
Yes, why did it take him so long to realize that Kenya Kwanza was a bad administration? I mean, his friends who could see far told him, and he has even said it in his speech, in his what he read. He said so many people discouraged him from working with Kenya Kwanza. So it's not the first time he's not seeing far very early. He failed to see far and to see that Kenya Kwanza was not the right administration for this country. He failed to see far when he was appointed Attorney General to an administration that was going to oversee the loss of so many lives of young people. We have buried so many of them. Some of them, we are still looking for them. So he should have seen far, but it's okay. Some people get to see things when it's late. We are happy he has seen, and we urge him to continue seeing, even if he's going to see the next atrocities after 8 months. Just as long as he sees them, it's fine.
And the former...
But the truth is, even before you get to that, I think there probably must have been a looming cabinet reshuffle.
So he just decided...
And he knew that a time is coming when he's going to be axed out. And he felt like, I need a reason. I need to say things now that people will say are attributable to my being sacked. Otherwise, they would even have sacked him and said he's incompetent. It would have ruined his reputation. So that is one theory. And the second theory, people have it that he wants to vie for governor in his county. And because things have become very hot in his county, then he cannot become governor if he continues serving in this administration. Whatever of them is accurate, I feel he should stick in there and disturb them from inside, because his boss did the same and he was never fired.
From Speaker of the National Assembly, Attorney General, down to governor.
Not down. You see, Kenyans don't look at positions that way, unfortunately. And that's why a senator ideally is supposed to be a bigger and more prestigious seat. But many senators will tell you they would rather be members of parliament, because there is NGCDF. Kenyans, things are viewed in terms of resources. And that's why the governor of Nairobi is a more lucrative seat than a cabinet post. Because governors are collecting resources and governors are managing or mismanaging resources, which is where many people are looking for an opportunity to mismanage public resources and put into their own pockets. So they are not looking at things from the eye you are looking at things from. You are looking at things from the eye of Attorney General is national, yes. But maybe the loopholes to make yourself richer are not as many. So you'd rather be governor.
I have my doubts on that.
I tell you for sure.
For sure.
Yes.
Another concern is if an attorney general has to talk to the president to have his son released, and the president, I mean, he hasn't said whether it's true or not, but of course that was his AG, so we trust his statement for now. What does that say about the leadership? Because if a president it takes a president for someone's son to be released, then are we not cultivating a very dangerous culture?
Now, what he was trying to tell Kenyans is that the president knows who to call when your children are abducted. That's what he was telling Kenyans. He was technically telling Kenyans that when my son was abducted, I called the president and my son was released. So if your son is abducted, call the president, your son will be released. Isn't he indicting the president? Isn't he saying the president is the one who knows who the abductors are? That is the inference. It is for you to sit there and think, wait, kwa hivyo wale watu wote wanamiss watoto wao, all they needed to do was call the president. Because the other people have said, including the commissioner, the IG of police, he has said he does not know who is abducting people.
Yeah.
But then the Attorney General comes and tells you he may not know who is abducting people, but for sure he knows a number you can call and your abducted son will be released. That is what the CS is telling you.
And looking back maybe like 2 weeks ago, the president said, I quote, hii mambo ya abduction, tutamaliza. And then a week after, the AG comes with that statement. What are we saying about our president then?
Your AG tells you that if his son is abducted, he usually calls the president, and the president secures the release of the son, which means the president knows who to call so that the son is released. And therefore, when the president says that itamaliza hii maneno, now if you can join the dots, he's trying to say, if it is true the AG called him, and if it is true he was able to release the AG's son, then it is true that he knows who to call to stop the abductions.
Why hasn't he stopped them?
I will tell you why. The reason they have not been stopped is because, one, they have not abducted Kipchumba Murkomen's son. They have not abducted Oscar Sudi's son. They've not abducted Farah Maalim's son. They've not abducted the sons of the people who are close to the president and who are doing the president's will. Look at it this way. These unknown abductors, they are unknown. Nobody has an idea of who they are. But conveniently, these people who are unknown have a culture of only abducting the children of those people who are anti-government. They are unknown and they don't exist, but they conveniently know who is anti-government and they conveniently only abduct those ones. I have never heard them say, oh, by mistake, they abducted the son of the deputy president and now they have returned him. No, it has to be somebody who is accused of drawing someone or using AI to put someone in a coffin. It has to be someone who is known to have said something that is not making this administration happy. So those unknown abductors are strange. And they are strange in the sense that they have a very high appetite for people who are anti-government.
And you saw the clip of Nakuru. Guys, someone was being abducted and they decided enough is
Even
enough.
Kirinyaga.
Yes, Kirinyaga was actually the first.
And the hero who was a city hopper driver.
Yes.
I think, you see, the 2010 Constitution is a living document. And every Kenyan has sworn to protect that document. And we are saying, go come in a police Land Cruiser. Go come in police uniform. And say you are arresting so-and-so and you are taking them to this police station. We will allow you. But if you come in covert clothes, in covert vehicles, and you are hiding, and you are masked, and you don't want to be seen, and you don't want to be asked questions. If I am a policeman working for Central Police Station, for example, I should be happy to come and say, this is my number. I am policeman so-and-so. This person is suspected of a crime because we have criminals and we are taking them to Central Police Station. And allow the members of the community to even follow you in an extra car if they want or to come and see that your loved one has actually been booked. We don't have a problem with our people being taken to police cells. That's not the thing. We only have a problem with them being sent to undisclosed locations and held for unduly long and not brought before a court of law. I tell Kenyans, the Constitution of Kenya mentions the word court 176 times.
Oh, you've counted that.
Yes, it does not mention the word abduction anywhere. It is not in our constitution. It was not envisaged in the writers of the constitution that one day a human being who is right thinking would abduct another one. So that word is not in our Kenyan constitution. So it's a living document that Kenyans have sworn to protect. I love what the abductee, the Tanzanian lady, says. She feels safer in Kenya than in Tanzania. That there were people who were willing to protect her and they don't know her. They were willing to stand for her rights and they don't know her. They were willing, and this is the Kenyan spirit, and that's why
and
I
those
get
people
so...
were Kenyans, normal
yes,
Kenyans.
And that's why I get so annoyed when I hear people asking the question of tribe, that this tribe will vote for William Ruto, this tribe will vote for Raila Odinga. When this lady was being abducted, nobody asked her what her tribe is. Nobody wanted to know whether she's Luo or Luya or Kisi or Masai. Nobody even asked her whether she voted for William Ruto. In fact, we got to know that she was a Tanzanian much later. Kenyans swung into action to protect her because they are protecting themselves. When you allow them to abduct that lady today, it will be very easy and convenient for them to abduct somebody else tomorrow. But if you stop the abduction of that lady now, then it stops the abduction of every other Kenyan tomorrow. And it brings Kenyans to that place where they are showing we love our constitution. We will defend our constitution with our own lives. Can you imagine? These abductors had guns. And Kenyans could see the guns. And they knew the guns would kill them. But they put themselves in harm's way. Not just for the protection of this lady and the few that were being abducted in Nakuru and Kirinyaga, but for the protection of their right to never be abducted. And I must applaud every Kenyan.
That was beautiful to watch, honestly.
Yes.
And also, by the shout out to that city hopper driver who tried to stop the abduction of Maria. That was amazing. I think the respect of constitution should apply to
As a
everyone.
hero, we need to find a way. And I'm calling on Kenyans to come up with a way. Let us celebrate and appreciate that city hopper driver. Wherever you are, we celebrate you. And it's just that I'm not in the business of setting up pay bills. But I wish somebody could do. I'll send my 100
Atumiwe
shillings.
salamu za M-Pesa.
Tumie salamu. Sisi wote tujitole. Tuombe namba ya that city hopper driver. So that if we appreciate him, Kenyans will see that we have a habit of appreciating our heroes. You know, if every Kenyan was to send him even just 10 shillings, he would never drive a bus again. He would buy his own. Because I'm thinking, because now there will be intimidation for sure. Probably there's even intimidation happening right now. But let us, wherever he is, unearth him. Support him, surprise him, send him something. I may not have much, but I can start with the first 100 or 200 shillings. And every Kenyan throws something to his phone, baka ilipuke. And then he's able to, so that that way, we just, it's just a sign that we are going to celebrate the heroes who are defending the 2010 Constitution.
And something else, though, people want to appreciate. If you see any abduction happening, and you're there, please make use of this phone. Just record a video. Because these people we hear are missing is probably because nobody recorded their disappearance. So if we're able to point out any criminal activities going on, because it's criminal. I mean, if the DCI boss says he doesn't know, then it is criminals, we assume. But I also have a question which is very interesting to look at. Looking back, somewhere in June, the former deputy president, has he been vindicated because he said NIS was not working proper? They were not telling the president the truth. Then we see JB Muturi's statement.
For a long time, I fought Rigiji. For a long time, I believed and told everybody, he's Kenya Kwanza, he smells like them, he looks like them, he associates with them. When he went for that press conference in Mombasa, I thought he had lost his mind. I apologize. I think he spoke the truth. I think he was hated for speaking the truth. Because it's come out. He said the security agencies are disjointed. Indeed they are. He said what is happening at NIS is not known by what is happening by DCI and so on and so forth. And it has come to light. So Rigiji, for those few times I fought you about your stand on some things, I apologize because I have seen that some of the things you said then are true. I think my only biggest fight with him was because he was part of Kenya Kwanza, which had become a very big thorn in the flesh of Kenyans. But Rigiji, we celebrate what you said then, and we are now seeing the truth about it.
That's one. I mean, maybe his truthful man statement makes sense in this aspect. Because I wouldn't celebrate everything about him on the other hand.
Course, I mean, he has his history as well.
Yes.
So it's not very beautiful to some of them, like the Matiba family and a few others. But on what he has done well, let us just say he has done well on some things, and this is one of them.
Okay. And we hope that stops. I mean, I interviewed one of the kids who had been abducted, and if you hear the stories they went through, I don't think anyone deserves to go through that kind of punishment and torture, because it is torture for sure. And I hope the government stops that. Moving on, we were talking about a new cabinet reshuffle coming.
Yes.
And it will be very interesting to have a reshuffle coming when we've just had the new nominees of the Uhuru sect going through Parliament.
First and foremost, I predicted almost so accurately that there would be a cabinet reshuffle. And
this is not the one that is about to come.
Yes,
was in December, actually.
Yes, in December. I said it would happen, and it happened actually exactly 10 days after I said it happened. And yes, I said they would bring a towering person from Nyeri. It has happened. Now, it's for those people who've taken tomato paste or tomato sauce. It's one that is called bittersweet. It is very bitter and very sweet at the same time. Why? Do we want our agriculture to be handled well? Yes. Do we want a professional doing our agriculture maneno? Yes. When do we want him? Immediately. Is Mutahi Kagwe a good guy? Yes.
Debatable?
No, for agriculture. You see, he led us through a very bad crisis.
I'm not saying he's not good. I just said it's debatable.
Yeah, for COVID-19, he led us quite well. He led from the front. And Kenyans love that. They love, hata watoto walikuwa wamemjua, they used to say, ndio yule mtu wa corona kwa TV. They used to call him mtu wa corona. Unfortunately, then the question becomes now, that was the sweet part, that we have a person with a proven track record of delivery. And by the way, one thing I have come to know about these people who deliver, look at Matiang'i. He delivered in education. He delivered in interior. He delivered. Most people who deliver, they deliver everywhere they go. Now, does Mount Kenya want some of their best sons working with William Ruto? No. They feel that Mutahi Kagwe is one of the persons they would have considered for a very high office in this country come 2027. But his being working with William Ruto now complicates the equation. That's why I'm saying it's bittersweet. I saw the appointment of the KRA chairman, Mureithi, former governor for Laikipia. Someone who's done very well in finance, someone whose county in Laikipia managed to collect more money without increasing the taxation per person. And he has consulted for Gladys Wanga, and you see how Gladys Wanga's Homa Bay is doing. And he has consulted for Garissa and a few other counties, and he's taught them fiscal management. And those counties that he's consulted for have done very well. So do we want Mureithi helping us with managing our taxes as a country? If his record is anything to go by, everywhere he has gone, they've been able to increase the amount of revenue without increasing taxation per person. Do we want such a guy? The answer is yes. Do we want him immediately? The answer is yes. Then the question becomes, the people of Laikipia wanted to make him their governor. Will they make him their governor after he has served under William Ruto? I think now the jury is out there. So that is where it becomes bittersweet with this cabinet reshuffle. That some of the minds that have come in are minds that Kenya does need. And it needs them almost immediately, because then this thing could crumble before even 2027.
And you know what's one point you're leaving out? Is this that these people are losers?
No.
No, let me tell you in what sense. I mean, just start with the Kiambu Kafogo. Mm-hmm. What happened? He was beaten by someone who, if anything to go by, I mean, nothing against him, but he lost being a governor to we know who. Yeah. Mutahi lost the Senate seat, we know to who. And, Nyeri is very deliberate. They actually, for you to get a second term in Nyeri, you have to work. So I don't know if it didn't work. I'm not sure. The Nyeri people would tell us. Ruto lost also. So essentially, if the people on the ground who they were serving felt they are losers, what makes you think they are heroes? I mean, they have their part of achieving. That's true. Because even Kabago, I'm sure there's something good he did for Kiambu when he was the first governor.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing that topic. It's something I've always wanted to address myself to. There was a time when Peter Kenneth went through a nomination with Mike Mbuvi Sonko. And Kenyans in their multitudes voted for Mike Mbuvi Sonko against Peter Kenneth. Did it make Mike Sonko a better person than Peter Kenneth? It made him the guy who boxes gates, who got more votes than a guy who ran Gatanga and Gatanga had no pothole. Most of the times in this country, the voter is wrong, the voter is wrong, the voter is wrong.
Are you saying these three counties, the voters were wrong?
Lee Kinyanjui did a very good job.
And lost.
In Nakuru. Lost to the current governor, who the people of Nakuru wonder why they even voted for her. You've seen the issues of the cemetery and so many issues that are going on wrong in Nakuru right now. And the people of Nakuru regret. Sometimes we speak of the candidate as having lost, but I choose to make a different submission. The voters lost. When you put in an idiotic leader into power and leave a good leader out of power, because you, the voters, are voting with emotions, then it doesn't become an election. It becomes a ballot box in which people have put emotions instead of putting their future in the ballot box. I have always told Kenyans, the ballot box is a repository of hope. It is not a repository of your revenge mission. And Kenyans have come into ballot boxes and put their hate and their anger and their bitterness and their inadequacies into the ballot box. I pray that in 2027, men and women will use reason and put into the ballot box their hope, their aspirations, their dreams, and those can only come when you have good leaders.
Good leadership.
I keep saying PLO, Lumumba, brilliant as he is, go and look who he lost to in Kamukunji in 2007. And when you look at some of these people, you're like, I mean, you had PLO, and you chose this guy, and you're wondering why Kamukunji looks the way it looks. Shame on the voter. So sometimes when you hear that Mutahi Kagwe lost, look at to whom he lost to. Look at the senator for Nyeri. No hate, but respect. And ask yourself, sometimes it's never about the candidate. It's about the voter. And in this country, a majority of the times, the voter is wrong, the voter is wrong, the voter is wrong. I have died in Waithaka, currently pursuing my master's in law. The person who took that seat, people know who he is, and they know what their qualifications are.
The man is KJ, right?
No, that time it was a ward seat.
Oh, ward.
And today they usually tell me, we regret Fanyamambo. We made a mistake. The good thing is if you think the voter is never wrong, they gave us William Ruto for president. Now you know that voters are wrong. We even had a pastor on that ballot called Mwaure. I wish they even voted for him. So all I'm saying, there was a time when Mother Karua
Or we even had Wajakoya.
Even Wajakoya, afadhali hata tungekuwa tunauza hizo vitu za fisi. So Mother Karua had vied at some point, and I hear she's vying right now.
Yeah, she said she won't deputize anyone.
Yes, and she's had a good track record. She's one person I am yet to hear scandals. Will Kenyans vote for her? So that's why I tell you many times, Kenyans are wrong.
So we stop, voters, please stop being emotional and get yourself to vote with the brain, not the heart, yeah? Because the heart is emotions.
Yes.
During the vetting of these new CSs, who we don't know how they are going to work, because even the experts that came from ODM, it's a struggle as we have seen so far. Something that Kabogo raised was take control. He's going to ensure the people who abuse social media are arrested or something of the sort. Is that a solution to the digital revolution that is happening in the political space?
what William Kabogo, my friend, I have profound respect for William Kabogo.
Yeah, yeah.
But the biggest challenge he's going to encounter is what Kipchumba Murkomen has just encountered. He joined the fray of those who were threatening young people. And they made a casket for him with very expensive watches and belts and put him inside. And now he has to ask himself, what do I do? I would not be surprised if they made one for William Kabogo that has got what he likes. I don't know what he likes, but young people have a way of deciding what he likes, and they might make one for him. I hope they don't. William Kabogo, you're my friend. Take my free advice. The man who will come to Gen Zs and millennials and speak a language of love and say, our young people, I think our generation has wronged you. These people are mourning. They still can't tell where 80 of their friends are. They have not forgotten they went to a burial and put Rex Masai in the soil. They have not forgotten they have attended very many burials. They have not forgotten the bodies that were found in a dump site. And they have not forgotten that their own friends could not be there for Christmas with them. To ashe baluti, to fanya those things we do together as young people. These young people are hurting. You will not win this fight by hurting them more, or by threatening them, or by saying you're going to deal with them. My friend William Kabogo, be the first guy who will say, Jeshi, vijana, kujeni, let's talk. We are sorry as an administration that 80 of you lost their lives during this regime. And if there are some that who are alive, even if there are 2 or 3, produce them, we will celebrate their life. If they are maimed, bring them. If their bodies are available, produce them. These are young people who are hurting. And when you continue threatening them, the hurt they have is what is making them. Look at what Museveni did. And look where walimchora mpaka wakaeka pamba. And then they sent to Uganda and told Ugandans, we know you are fearing you can't make. We've made for you and we've delivered. And the Ugandans are really sambazing those things. The person who will win this war will not win it with weapons. They will win it with love. Whoever will show Gen Z's love and appreciation and affection and respect, whoever will call them and tell them, we were wrong, you were right. Our sons, who opens a war with their children? And these are the children you wish to leave behind. This is foolish. You can't open a war with a generation that is supposed to succeed you. I am a father of a son. And each time he goes wrong, in Kikuyu we say, mtoto upigwa akirudishwa nyumbani. You punish them in a way that shows you want to return them back home. And you want them to experience a father's love. And you want them to know that the baton will be passed to them. Because at some point, that generation of viewers, William Kabogo, William Ruto, and all of you, that generation of viewers, very soon a curtain will start falling on you. Na tutaanza kuwazika. It's life. And the generation you want to kill and threaten is the one that you should be showing love, affection, and direction.
And when you talk about love, I mean, we've seen statements from Farah Maalim. I mean, it's not the first one. There was another one. He still spewed hate and saying that there was Oscar Sudi who said if he was the minister for the CS for Interior, he would deal with this. I mean, if these are the people who are close to the president and that's the language they are speaking, then will Gen Z listen? Or even the millennials,
Exactly.
or generally just the citizens?
Exactly. Number one, Farah Maalim, you know, when we were young, all of us, there was this totally abusive young kid. People forget that those totally abusive young kids also grow up. So when they become old, don't think they've become wise. It's just the totally abusive young kid who grew up. Farah Maalim, you're out of order. You have failed. And your insults, we cannot even mention on TV. The first part of it is a part of a human body, in the female body. And then Nina is the second part because it's a compound word made of 2 words. So I refuse to mention the first part. The second part is Nina, and Nina means mother. So private parts of your mother. He's insulting the nation with the private parts of their mothers. So if we were sitting in the television room and we hear those words and we are family, how does that make the family feel? Your mother is there, the father is there, children are there, and you're insulting the nation by the private parts of mothers in this country.
Such a shame.
He owes everybody an apology. He still is the same person who had said he would kill 5,000 people. He thinks he has a right to be here and others don't have a right to be here. Farah Maalim, the least of us, the very least of us, those people you think most lowly of, have a right to be here. They have a right to exist and to breathe the same air you breathe. And if it doesn't please you, let me tell you, they even have a right to go and use the washroom. This is their country. They were born here. So you owe the nation an apology. And I think now we need to switch off cameras from Farah Maalim completely.
And just stop.
But beyond that, the person of the president.
Yeah, because he was there.
He should have said no. He should have apologized. He should have said, these are not the sentiments of Kenya Kwanza. This is not us. But the fact that the president condoned that then puts him in the same bracket. So it's a very sad day for this country that those people who are, Farah Maalim is over 70 and should be showing direction, have gone that way. I call on SUPKEM, the Supreme Council of Kenya Muslims, and anybody who is older than Farah Maalim to call him to order. Because from my community, I am not allowed to go and speak to him. I'm younger than him. But let's get someone who is of age and reason and is in a position, especially the religious leaders within the Supreme Council of Muslims, to call Farah Maalim to order and to make him make a public apology.
Or even the president, for that matter.
The president may not do that. He may not do that. He probably does believe that those who insult him and throw him in a casket exactly are supposed to be called that word and more. And that's why he never said something about it.
Worse still, there's a statement that Oscar Sudi made that in Kenya there's no president who's served for one term, and President Ruto isn't going anywhere, and we should not expect that. And this is in a country where we proudly speak of democracy, independence of bodies like IBC. So what communication is this? Again, the president didn't even respond to that.
Number one, who is Oscar Sudi? He's not IBC. He doesn't count votes. He has one vote like all of us. He's speaking as who? He's elected somewhere, yes, but we are telling us this as who. I think one thing he needs to realize is, one, the president got 47 or 48% of his votes predominantly from Mount Kenya, and the rest of the votes from other regions within this country. When you lose more than 40% of the votes that you had, I like what Senator Sifuna said, that if ODM was going into an election today against President Ruto, all they would need to do is to keep the votes they had intact, because President Ruto has lost the mountain. So without the mountain, how would he win? Because look at his votes, 7 million. If Raila retains what he had, and Ruto comes with what he had, of course, minus the mountain.
But you know,
and remember, the difference was 200,000.
But we are doing an imagination because Raila is in the same basket with Ruto.
Raila,
so probably the votes have gone that direction.
Raila Amolo Odinga had no votes from Mount Kenya.
He did.
Just 1 million.
Yes.
I'm yet to hear people from the mountain who are saying that if they were given Raila and Ruto, they would vote for Ruto. The bulk of the people right now are saying Ruto must go. And they are ready to vote in anything, which is dangerous, just to remove William Ruto. I hope that as we remove him, we will put someone who is better.
And we are watching and waiting to see who's this better person. Yeah. Last week, there was an inauguration of the president of Ghana. And the highlight for me was how Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso was received in Ghana. And the fact that he had a gun stripped down his waist, and the BBC made such a huge deal from that story. He was not the only leader who was present. There was, I think, 16 African presidents, including our own president. Why do you think the Ghanaians were so happy about this president, not even their elected presidents?
I'm happy first they did not celebrate President William Ruto. It tells you where the whole of Africa has put him in their hearts. Number two, it's a universal human feeling about good. Even when you watch a movie today, get 10, 20 people in a room, they have an inclination to the character that has been presented as a good person. And they follow that person, and they are sad when that person is sad, and they are happy when that person is happy. Africa has always had a thirst for good leaders. Traore has been in power for 2 years, just like William Ruto. On our side, we are getting excuses as to why things are not happening. On his side, he's not giving excuses. He's giving deliverables. And that is the difference between Traore and our William Ruto and the African presidents. What the people of Ghana are saying is, you whom we are swearing in, we wish you would become like Traore. When he came and he made sure government officers are driving very old vehicles, but doctors are given new cars, it tells you where his priorities are. Today you have some of those politicians you are mentioning here driving cars for 30 million. And a doctor, a medical doctor who is saving lives, 10, 5, 15 lives in a day, can't get to work decently. Traore has timed the priorities and put them where they're supposed to be. The way he's mechanizing agriculture, for those who've seen, if it was in Kenya, mngekuwa mnaambiwa you're going to be given subsidized tractor, then you pay to the government. This guy is not saying subsidized tractors. He's saying give farmers the tractors they need to work. He's enabling things in Burkina Faso. He's nationalizing assets. He's telling the French you can go to heaven because you said Africa is hell.
Well,
So I think Traore is the leader that Africa needs. And I'm happy that people are celebrating. I would have been worried, deeply worried, if they were celebrating our own or leaders who behave like our own. I am happy that they are celebrating those who are doing the right thing.
maybe the ones that behave the same, I'm not pointing fingers, are more, unfortunately.
And you forgot something when we were speaking about these things of children having been told by the president to behave.
Yeah, but the people around him are the ones teaching him how to call each other.
Actually, what annoys me, and where I come in to support, because in every interview I have something to support the government. I agree, I support them, that we need to speak to our children so that they behave in a good way that is in conformity with community standards. And let us start by telling our children, for those whose children own matatus which are being driven horribly, let them be the first to tell their children to tell the matatus that they drive not to be driven that way. Before they owned matatus, there were matatus in this country before they were born, and they were never driven that way. And there was a reason why. And also the parents who are alive today to tell their children to stop lying to Kenyans. Because if they tell their children to stop lying to Kenyans, then we'll probably have a better country. So as we speak to our children about not drawing people in coffins, let us not forget to speak to those children who own those matatus and those children who are lying to Kenyans.
Those adult children in the name of politicians, I get you. Before we come to a close, let me give you a statement that's in the headlines today. Over 300 Kenyans speak out Dutch royal visit under scrutiny. So the Dutch government has reportedly received more than 300 emails from concerned Kenyans urging the cancellation of the royal trip to Kenya. This follows Kenyans realizing it was President Ruto's official invitation. Many of the emails highlight pressing issues such as governance, human rights, accountability, questioning the timing and implications of the visit.
I like clapping for Kenyans every day because Kenyans are clever. Kenyans are geniuses. You cannot win Kenyans by fighting with them, but you can win them to your side. You can talk to them nicely. Kenyans have done their research and they know that the Dutch people are being invited here. And they want to stop that. But they've written so many emails to the African Union.
Yep.
And that has affected Raila's bid significantly. They will, because they said, when we go to the streets, you kill us. But using our phones, we will show you a demonstration that you have never seen in your life.
That is hurting them more.
And now, I heard this elsewhere. Young people are saying they just need to look at, because we are unable to stop the president from doing trips. Now they want to start writing to the countries of destination where the head of state is supposed to go, and to tell them that Kenya does not have the resources to support this trip, and we therefore do not want our president to come. If they send 1 million emails, First, it jams the servers on the other side.
Yeah.
And two, that country will not receive our head of state. So he will stay at home. So our young people are brilliant. They are demonstrating out of the streets. And that's when I said, you remember, let us throw our brains at this administration. They're not ready for our brains. Don't throw your body. Don't take yourself to the streets. This is a perfect example of Kenyans saying that we are disillusioned with our own administration. Trust them at your own risk. Na maybe wangekuja kupeana ka loan, Kenya bado tungebaki tukilipa, because they would have given probably a loan and then it would have gone to the wrong use and then we would have paid for it. So it's better off if they don't come.
One thing I need to tell, maybe the government needs to understand, you can never win information war with people who have access to information on a daily basis, every minute, every second. That for sure, you will not win. And I think the sooner you accept and work for the people, the better. However, my concern is, it would be a good thing. You'd consider it a good thing, yes, on one side. But on the other side, it has its negative implications. What if a visit like this, I'm not saying this specific one, but maybe a visit of, I don't know who, is supposed to add value to the nation, and what dent does this do to us as a country, besides looking at the Kenya Kwanza government, generally as a country?
Let me ask. Ibrahim Traore has been successful. Is it because of visits?
Of course not.
No. The solutions to Burkina Faso lay inside the borders of Burkina Faso. The solutions to our problems are right here. I can tell you one. Why are animal feeds expensive, for example? The most expensive component of animal feeds is protein. The biggest source of proteins for animal feeds is soya. Kenya has an annual demand of 150,000 metric tons of soya. Kenya produces 10,000 metric tons of soya, which means we import 140,000 metric tons of soya. And Kenya spends close to 280 billion, close to the amount of money being given to counties, just buying soya and additives for food for our animals. A responsible government would think of how many farmers do we need. And by the way, soya is a bean. It takes 3 months to grow. How many farmers do we need to produce soya? And just by doing that, we'll retain over 200 billion in this economy. So when I tell you that, then unasikia mtu anatoka hapa anaenda Italy, anakuja hapa, munapewa kalon ka 10 billion, 20 billion, 30 billion. Whereas if we were to plant 150,000 metric tons of soya, Kenya would save money in the billions. We would lock it here. We have the land, we have the soil. Let's get the seeds and let's get people working. So that is why I am saying there is no presidential trip out of this country that is beneficial. The only trip the president...
That one I will not agree with
The only
you.
trips the president needs to make is to Harambee House.
Ask Traore. Part, yes. That part,
ask
yes.
Traore. If you ask him, he'll tell you that their gold was leaving the country.
Let me ask you. Fine, that part I understand. And I also agree the president needs to utilize Harambee House. I mean, I think that building was put up for use for a reason.
Yes.
My question still remains, the dent that happens to Kenya. Number two, it may not be necessarily our president who wants to travel. This was an invitation of the king to come. What if we have someone coming and that would change, not maybe 100%, but would have an impact on our economy? But because I am okay with people doing emails and fighting that war, but where do we draw the line? That is perhaps my question.
I think we need to understand one thing. The reasons Europeans come here is because of interests, not because they like us, not because they like our color, not because they come here because they have an interest.
Yes.
And it's an economic interest.
Yes.
When you look at the balance of trade between our country and those people, it's skewed heavily towards them. So every time you see a foreigner coming here, Waswahili husema muomba chumvi huombea chunguche. There's no person who comes to beg you for salt to put in the neighbor's pot. They borrow salt to put in their pot. So when you see someone coming to your country, he has an interest for his country, not your country. Nobody leaves their country to come to Africa primarily for Africa's sake.
That's true, but the benefit could be on both sides.
What benefit? Someone comes and tells you, for example, that we have come to give you drugs for helping you to combat HIV and AIDS. And therefore, Kenya should celebrate that you've been given drugs worth 2, 3, 4 billion. But when you think about it, that's probably not what Kenya needed. What Kenya needed was an intervention in trying to significantly reduce the rate of infections. And some of these things can only be done internally. It's not the drug manufacturers we need most. It is the resources and the ability and the planning to help ourselves be able to curb the insurgents and the growth of some of these things. What we need as a nation is to start looking for homegrown solutions to our problems. And I can tell you, if we need them, it's 10%. Kibaki, in his many years of presidents, 10 years, he did only 33 trips in 10 years.
So we come to agreement. They're important. Not all.
Not all.
Some.
And even those ones that he attended, he was not really trying to get the support of China, because most of them were to China. He was just trying to use China to get away from IMF and World Bank. So he was just trying to cancel one problem using another superior person. But I think and believe and strongly feel that the president who will resolve Kenya's problems will resolve them from here.
From here.
Yes. And then now the world will look for you. Now the world is looking for Traore. Where are we the ones looking? You know, the American population is 300 million people. Africa has about 1.5 billion people. Why is 1.5 billion people looking up to one country of 300 million people and seeing that as a solution to their problem? We are supposed to make ourselves valuable. And when you're valuable in life, people look for you.
Absolutely.
Yes. Before I started doing my media interviews, I would take time to see specific people who were in politics. And I got angry. And I said, I don't need them. I'll do my thing. Today, very many of them look for me. They call me. Concentrate on building your brand as a country. When you are good, then people look for you.
True.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And I think that is where we shall end it, because since this conversation can go on and on, because, I mean, it's the love for for country and just wanting to see us develop. I think for the government, just deliver for the people. Stop fighting young people. Rather, just look at ways you can collaborate and work to achieve. And for our public servants, please utilize those offices that we've built to work, because they were put there for a reason. And if we keep just being on the road, on top of car roofs, and just, everywhere talking, you're not adding value to us as citizens. And what we need is the value addition for us as citizens. So do that and change this country for the better. You won't be here for long. I won't be here for long. It's a thing about life. So let's leave Kenya better than we found it for all of us. Any closing remarks?
I think my closing remarks are to anybody out there who thinks that threatening young people is a solution. My thinking is, look at them as your sons and daughters, and look at them as young people who are crying because they've been through an education system. They've waited at home. They have nothing to do. They don't have money. Their peers in other countries have got something to their name. And look at them as your sons and reach out to them. And don't do to somebody's son what you wouldn't want done to your son. And let's first apologize to them. Let's tell them these things happened. We are sorry as government. And we love you, our young people. And when this country, at some point, we need to pass the baton, we cannot look for foreigners and pass the baton to them. It can only be you who will take up these spaces. In fact, we are better off lifting you and mentoring you and leaving this country in the hands of people we have mentored. I think let us listen to our young people. Let us not shout at them. Let us not threaten them. Let us not intimidate them. Let us show them love. We will be successful. I think that's it.
Listen to the young people. Thank you for watching. See you on the next episode. And as you wait for the next episode, listen to the young people.